jobbed out?
So we're two islanders who decided to. Actually, we haven't decided now. We're talking all the time on interesting subjects, and Stu is one of my favorite people to talk to. We're on the way since 11 a.m. and now it's 6:20. We're finally in Bulgaria, back from Turkey, where I was windsurfing and he was kite surfing with his family. He has two beautiful daughters. I love them both. My sister's from a different mister. So I have decided to record some videos talking with the mister. And we tend to go a little political, but as my podcast is not a political, we will stay to the organizational psychology. And Stu has been a manager in a variety of companies. He has a huge experience in international companies, and his path is really interesting. I have a formal interview with him previously for Egoist, but now it's like our chat. Being grateful that we're in Bulgaria after the border, though, where we had to wait for an hour and we got a little pissed, but it still smells like Tracia. We're in Bulgaria and happy. So we were talking a lot about the past days, about his experience as a manager, what problems he meets, and I really wanted to include that in the podcast because I find it really interesting. Um, and what we have discussed and what I want to discuss further for you is actually the good and the bad practices in management overall, not specifically in a specific company or anything, because we have a lot of friends. We of course communicate with them, and it's something that is not going to be pointed on a specific company or a specific business even. So still, you can start with presenting a little bit about your experience and what exactly you're doing, because that's quite interesting.
Um, I have been working in the IT industry for the past maybe 30 years or so, and I've done a lot of interesting things. I started as a pure developer, then database architect, solution architect, general manager of a company, then the team lead in different organizations. My previous work was the director of engineering for an American company who was mostly based here in Bulgaria, but part of it in the US as well. Really some top technology development there, not just outsourcing, which is the typical Bulgarian shops currently, unfortunately. And I have quite a bit of experience with managing infrastructure, companies, and people.
Which is the harder part? Infrastructure, company, or people management?
Well, it all depends. I would say people management is the most challenging because with technology, there's always a solution. There's ways to achieve a goal. Sometimes not the easy way, the most elegant or engineering-wise looking good, but sometimes even a brute force solution is a solution. With people, that approach typically doesn't work. So I also am a huge fan of Jürgen Appello, who's one of my, I guess, mentors. Amazing management capacity person, and he has a couple, maybe three really good books. The latest one I think was Startup, Scale Up, Screw Up. Very interesting book, and he does a lot of, I guess, seminars and presentations. So I advise you to check him out. It's pretty cool stuff. And he also did, I think, Management 3.0, something like that was the book. So check it out. So a lot of my experience is actually based on his coaching and advice, and some down-to-earth dealing with people from different nationalities, different backgrounds, different countries, managing remote teams of people, disjoint sometimes, and it can be quite challenging, especially if you are not physically present there. But there is a way. If there is a will, there is a way.
Yeah. And what is the most interesting thing that you took from his last book?
Well, it's the problem is that I was in an organization that actually suffered exactly the same scenario. We were a small startup company. We decided to scale, and we did not approach the scaling up part properly, and we suffered some setbacks because of that. So if you want to succeed, you just not only have to have a great team, great product, great motivation, but you need to know how you're going to scale, how you're going to achieve the vision and the strategy of the company overall. And unfortunately, in a lot of companies, there is a huge gap between the C-level, the higher management, and the middle-level management, where the company goes, the strategy and the overall objective and vision of the future of the company is not clearly defined for every member of the organization to follow. And for us, we figured this by the hard way, I would say, and I think we managed to alleviate the situation and continued properly. But it would have been nicer if we had thought of that previously. So sometimes when you're so engulfed into the technical aspects and the everyday day-to-day operations, day ops I call them, on a tactical level, you forget about the strategy and the overall picture. And have a friend of mine who says the helicopter point of view, which is really important. And that's pretty much the gist of it. Learning how to scale is not an easy thing, but if you're prepared and are willing to I guess to learn a little bit, it's very rewarding.
You told me earlier that people are like scared to be proactive, and that's something that every startup is suffering from. What do you think is like the key to motivate people to be proactive? I mean, not to be afraid from their mistakes, because basically what they're afraid of is their mistakes. Yeah.
There was a saying in our industry a long time ago, for managers, if you buy Intel, you won't screw up. Basically back in the day, Intel was the dominant power. That was like 15 years ago. And this is, that's basically, unfortunately, big businesses reward not accomplishments, but basically they reward not taking a risk because you might screw up. Unfortunately, exactly. Unfortunately, if you don't take risks, the reward won't be as big. So you have to take a measured, calculated risk, but still take risks in order to achieve something bigger. And this is we suffer from that because this starts on the higher level, and people are basically using their management as a role model, and that's typically how it happens. And they are even if they have enthusiasm and motivation to do something, they are not willing to act on it. And this is where managing people, managing teams is crucial to have a little bit of empathy. Like I've seen both models, a transactional based model between peers and supervisor and managed teams, where if it's all normally transactional based, you do this, you do that, but and it works. Yeah, it gets the job done. It's just it doesn't have you won't achieve the same success as if you try to get closer to the people. Even try to be not really friends, because you can't be friends with everybody, obviously. Yeah. But at least you should show some human compassion, some empathy towards, because these are people we're working with. These are not just machines like people would like some people would like them to be, like AI and robots and things like that. It's and dealing with people, you can motivate them better by trying to show them that you're one of them. You're just part of a team, and then either you succeed together or not.
But that's like a really challenging moment where you don't have to be friends with them, but you have to show them empathy, and at the same time you are practically a structure in terms of structure, in terms of positions. You're not on the same level, and this balance is so challenging.
Well, let me put it this way: like if we go to a fast food joint, let's say McDonald's. I hate McDonald's, but let's say to McDonald's, it doesn't really matter if Zuckerberg or me or you or some other person is there. We're pretty much all the same. Like we're gonna talk about the weather, how good or bad the sandwich is, or the service or whatever. So you can always find a way to level with everybody, and just show some interest, even if it's sometimes fake interest, into what they're doing, what their problems are. Even if you cannot help anything, just by listening to them, just being there for them is. You would see a report from their side, because they're going to accept you as part of the team, part of one of them, because there's a huge gap unfortunately between developers or like technical people and people who are into more management positions. It's always this saying, oh, stupid management does these stupid things, and then the stupid managers say, oh, the stupid developers and QAs that do these stupid things, and if you don't level with all these parts of the organization. I'm talking here about the IT, but it applies to pretty much everywhere else in the industry. If you don't break the ice and try to level with people and work, again, like I said, as a team, it will probably happen, but not in the most efficient and elegant way. And as an engineer, I prefer elegant and efficient solutions. Who doesn't?
Yeah, doesn't. Speaking of that, I remember one of the days we were talking about something that you have done in terms of your salespeople and your engineers. Tell us more about that, because it's quite an interesting approach, which I haven't seen before.
What was that?
That you wanted your sales team to know more about the product and to communicate more with engineers.
So we have this problem again. That's similar to what I said, that the management team, or typically, like let's say a project manager, even if they're a technical project manager, they're not really deep into the technical solution of a product, or or the way that the project is implemented, and by doing that, they're kind of shallow. They're like only looking at things on the surface. Like even if trying to just estimate the amount of work or the amount of complexity, they cannot estimate it properly, and there's a lot of negotiations and renegotiations in terms of how long a certain thing, a certain feature, a certain task is going to take, because they're insufficiently familiar with the product and the technology that this product is based upon. And so I asked them to work in couples. Basically, back in the day, we used to have this called peer programming, technically. But in this case, a sales or managerial person would work with a technical person, like a developer or QA or like a system administrator or an infrastructure specialist. It doesn't really matter, and see what they do on a daily basis, so they don't have to become software developers or really deep technical people. But why not? Because I've seen transition from people in both directions, horizontal and vertical scaling in terms of job placement, and vice versa. The technical people can actually see what kind of challenges the people who manage projects or do sales or marketing or things like that do, because their job is also very challenging. It's challenging in a different way. And by also learning to talk the same language, just the vocabulary that they can share, they can exchange ideas on a much better level. And I've encouraged people to to do both, to people who are into more managerial stuff and were never really that technical to take a couple of courses just to be familiar with the technology, and vice versa. People who are technical to see how marketing is done, how sales is done, how you communicate with people on a different level than just pure technical tasks. And Scrum is very popular for the past whatever 10 years, and it's kind of cool. But like if you think about it, what is Scrum? You just say, I did this and I did that, and let's make it short, and yeah. Well, conceptually this is helpful, but it can be more helpful if it's discussed a little bit more in depth. I'm not talking about an hour discussion. You can still keep it short, but extract more value from that meeting for all the participants, not just basically recite a bunch of words every day, which are pretty much the same, and nothing changes. And this makes for a very mundane, and I guess, again, I'm going to say transactional based business, which is not bad, but it can be better.
Yeah. What was the biggest challenge for the developers in that? Communication.
Developers, they speak their own language, and they live, like most of these people are brilliant, extremely talented people. Like I respect that. The problem is the way they think, the way they think mathematically, structurally, and in a different way than most, I would say, marketing and sales and managerial type of people. They have less people skills. I hope they don't get offended, but in general, because they don't have to.
We're both engineers,
yeah,
so we understand that.
But as engineers, we're taught to think and communicate in a different way.
Right.
And it takes some time and practice to start again feeling empathy. This is crucial to talk about your everyday tasks and problems in a little bit different way, which can be understood by somebody who doesn't have your qualifications. I'm not saying talk to them like a 2-year-old or some person in second grade, but they can reduce the level of complexity that they work with so they can be understood. And then once they're understood, it is beneficial for basically the management and the other people in the organization to make better decisions, to understand the reality of the situation instead of just living in their la la land and coming up with cockamamie ideas of how to do this and that, and offering solutionizing to engineers who know better how to do certain things.
Right. And what about salespeople? How did they react? What was the follow-up?
At first, I was surprised. This experiment was actually very interesting. I'll share something later, which I took as I guess I stole some know-how from Eugen Apello that I mentioned. So at first, I thought that the technical people would be more resisting to that, but the way they're structured is that once you tell them that something is a task, they accept it as a task and they say, I'm just going to do it, okay? This is on my task list to do, so I'll go ahead and do it. So they were actually less resistant to this, and they started doing it because it was a task, and then eventually they figured out that actually this is beneficial for them. So they were eager to participate in this. It wasn't an experiment, but it was, a trial.
Yeah.
Let's say it. The management and salespeople, on the other hand, were with they were like, I don't want to be a technical person. I don't want to, do this and that. I'm manager. I'm sales. I'm marketing. I should be. Yeah, I don't want to go to that depth. I should be above that. So they showed more resistance, and for them, even though it was a task, they were sort of pushing it on the back burner as a task and not, I would say, not taking it very seriously at first.
Well,
unfortunately, I had to push, and I'm glad that I did. And then they saw the benefit for themselves too, because it took me about a year to get this process going, and then everybody saw the benefit of that. Yeah, like I had to explain to higher management that that I'm overlapping some hours here and there. So they were like, "Oh, this is like wasted time," and I'm like, "No, this is not wasted time. This is actually this is investment into the future," and it turned out that is correct. The second thing that I did, we took this idea. I did it first only for development teams and for QA teams, excuse me, for infrastructure teams, and we did. Let's say we allocate a pool of points, whatever you want to call it, and these points might have monetary value, might not. They don't know that. So each, I guess, iteration, let's say once a month or once a quarter, it doesn't really matter what the period of time is. It's different for everybody. Let's say once a month. Once a month because the salaries are a month, so let's assume it's once a month. We get this pool of points, and each member of the team gets equal number of points. For example, you get like you and I, and then let's say two more people, like 5 people, we get like 50 points total. So each of us gets 10 points. But you cannot use your points for yourself. You have to give these points to somebody else, and somebody else would give the points to you, and that basically rewards team spirit, because somebody was helpful to you. You needed some help, and somebody did help you, and you're rewarding that person for the help that he received, or just a good attitude, or whatever, friendliness. Doesn't really matter what the I guess the price for that reward was. And so at the end, like the first time, I was like, okay, so we get the points. People redistributed and gave points to, like, I can say I can give 2 points to this person, 3 points to that person, and then something else to somebody else. So basically, it's like a casino, but something similar. And I said, okay, these points are basically money that we're going to spend on dinner. We're going to go out and get dinner, and whoever has the most points actually gets to order the food. So you see how that works.
Yeah.
And then the next iteration, it was actually monetary stuff. The next time was we were gonna go and play board games, like in a place with board games. So every time it was different, and they didn't know what to expect, but they knew that there's some points and some rewards, and somebody would get a benefit, and that caused them to be more, I guess, receptive to the issues, to the problems of their peers, and at first, like I said, this was only done on the technical teams, but then once we started the crossovers, we included marketing and other non-technical people there, and they loved it. They loved the idea, and they, like, one of them said, "Well, how come I didn't come up with this?" And I'm like, "Okay, read some books, buddy." And so this was brilliant, and it worked really well. The second thing that I also, again, I'm going to quote Jürgen here, I like to run experiments, like to see how things are going to work, and try different approaches, and without letting people know, obviously, that we're running a trial, and sometimes it's a trial and error, sometimes it's trial and success, but like I said, if you don't risk, there won't be a reward.
It's an effort also. It's an effort in
yeah, and it makes it more fun, more interesting, more motivation, and it builds a really good team dynamics and inter-team dynamics as well, because we depend on each other. Like, I can have the best developers, they can develop the best product. If I don't have good sales and marketing people, well, nobody's going to buy it. It's just going to stay there, and nobody's going to know about it.
Right.
And that makes every member of each team, and also the different teams, to appreciate the effort and the complexity and the hard work that goes into doing their job, so we can all succeed. Basically, appreciation of other people's labor and toil.
Yes, and getting deeper understanding on what they're actually doing, because I'm sure that there is something about the engineers that for the salespeople that is that, and they are talking the same thing all day long, and They don't
Yeah,
have that
they think
knowledge.
we're just developers hate meetings, and
Yeah.
I also hate meetings that have no clear agenda, that you just people go and talk about stuff, because this is actually much better just to go and have a couple of beers, or just drink coffee and talk about stuff, instead of having a meeting without any agenda and without any point. And I've
Yeah.
seen quite a bit of those with a lot of people involved that are just yawning and trying to not fall asleep. um, the the thing here is that if you keep the meetings focused, they can be very beneficial. Why I'm saying this? Because in each organization, every member of every team has to be aware of what they're doing and what they contribute to the overall success of the team and of the company. Once you structure this in a proper way, so people are informed, like tomorrow morning when you go to work, that you're going to work on a piece of, I guess, software, a piece of test, or a piece of marketing pitch, or some sales deal or whatever, and you exactly know how your effort, your work is going to affect the overall process, the overall success of the company, and you feel that you're part of this. I wouldn't call it machine, but kind of this
Organism.
organization,
Yeah.
which is going to succeed because of your effort.
Yeah.
So that makes you succeed and motivated, and also morally satisfied, as well as financially, and so forth and so forth, and on many different levels. So at the end of the day, you go home and you're like, I did a great job today, and I'm proud of what I do, and I'm proud of the team that I work with, and I'm really happy to work with these people. And now I can, go and be happy with my family, or my dog, or whatever.
Yeah. What brings you the most job satisfaction?
Oh, this, what they said.
Really?
Like I like it that when I go to work, I'm excited to go to work and work on something, work with these people, and at the end of the day, to say I did a good job, I'm happy, and then if everybody else feels the same, then this is my satisfaction.
Right.
Because if you do something, with love, then it's going to happen, succeed.
Yeah. And it's not work. You don't feel it like work.
Well, it is work, but it's pleasant and rewarding work. So
Yeah.
it's not work just to pay the mortgage, because
Yeah.
everybody can probably find one of those jobs, but they're wasting their talent, potential, and find the things that you want to do, that you love doing. Find the people that you want to do it with, and then you're going to succeed.
I love the way how you worked during the whole time. We were in Turkey
Yeah.
for 2 weeks. He was working the whole time, and he was like so happy. I'm a little bit grumpy. I don't like to mix things out. I want to, when I'm resting, and when I'm working, I'm working. But with you, it was like pleasure to watch you, because you're so responsible, and you were working also in the evenings.
Yeah.
This is
Well,
really
this is something that I've also struggled with. This is one of the first things that I ask pretty much all members of the teams that I work with: time management.
yeah.
Learn to manage your time well. I'm not expecting anybody to work 8 hours a day. This is ridiculous. But if they work 5 to 6 hours a day, I would be extremely happy. Focused work, I'm saying
Yeah.
here. Efficient, focused work. But you saw me, like I get up early in the morning, like 6 something in the morning. I like 7 o'clock I'm on the water until, let's say, 8:45, 9 o'clock. At 9:15 I'm behind my computer starting calls, emails, database design, architecture, things like that, whatever happens to be the task for the day. I have a list of things that I need to do today, things that are blocking other people that I work on first. So I manage my time in such a way so I don't block the work for other people. And because they depend on me and I appreciate their time, and some of them are highly paid developers that it's really stupid to let them watch YouTube while I'm not doing my job. So when you learn proper time management for yourself, you also respect the time that other people are putting into their tasks. So you're trying to be respectful, so not to delay them, not to be an impediment for their effort. And once you do that, the whole organization becomes much more efficient.
How do you deal with the people that don't have the proper time management as part of your team?
I've worked with a couple of companies that do really good hands-on courses. Also, some Udemy courses are there. They're not great, the free ones. They're okay, but this is the first step. Basically to identify I want these people themselves to identify that they have a problem with time management. Because even if I tell them 1,000 times and they don't believe it, they're not going to do anything about it. And once they realize that by proper time management, they can succeed better, not just in their professional, but in their personal life, because this affects your overall, life. And I've seen people who are natural at that. They just, without having any formal training or anything like that, they just manage their time well. Other people need some management. I've seen people who have no concept of time management, yet they still are able to achieve their objectives, pretty well. So it's a wide range of characters, and you have to sort of encourage each of these types to improve, to just follow their path, because it's different for everybody.
Right. And is it more difficult to do with your daughters in terms of time management, or with your team? Because it's important, they're teenagers.
Yes and no, but they're younger. They're much younger,
Yeah.
so they're learning. They're actually pretty good at time management because of the way their schedule is. I mean, they have to get up 6:30 in the morning, go to school, be there from 8 until 6 in the evening. Then they go to do their whatever, swimming, Krav Maga, yoga, other things, social life. So by 10 o'clock, after dinner, they're so tired that, they go to bed.
Yeah.
Pretty much the summer is the only time that they can sleep late. And
but even in the summer, they're working. They're both doing what?
They're one of their instructors, windsurf instructors, and helping with equipment, with the kiteboarding and windsurf equipment. They help maintain the motorboats, the Wi-Fi network, the computers, and all that stuff. So whatever they can help, they do.
Yeah, and they're really, really amazing. I'm sure that we will see and expect. I expect to see huge things from them.
I want to see them succeed, and I think that part of this time management wasn't done from me. It was done from their school. They go to the National School of Dance Art. So the way they structured their program there is you either learn time management or you don't succeed. There's no other way.
I see.
Because they're under a lot of stress and they don't have a whole lot of time to waste.
Right. And what do you think is the most challenging thing nowadays in terms of managing people? Let's say the coming new generation. Would it be the Gen Z, the newcomers?
It's very broad and complex topic, but I'll try to give my interpretation.
Yeah.
Back in the day when I was their age, I was a teenager once too, a long time ago, and back then I think we took things more seriously. Like the situation then was we didn't have as much information flowing everywhere, and distractions, with social networks, internet access, YouTube, and all these abundance of information overflow, and it's difficult for these people to refine the right information for them. It is becoming more and more difficult. The more data that you have, it's difficult to analyze it and to absorb the one that is useful for you. So I think from that point of view, we had more discipline because it's just the way it was. I don't know. Also, there was a little bit more respect for work ethics, for things like that. I'll give you an example, like with my kids. I have certain chores that I ask them to do. Let's say you do laundry, do the dishwasher, undo the dishwasher, fold your, clothes, clean the house, things like that. So I say, okay, I'm going to put a monetary value on each of these tasks. I have a schedule, so you do that. And then they want to buy something from Shea or from AliExpress or from all these, what was that new play? You think that you told me about Temu? Okay, that too. So they need money to buy something that they want to buy. So they say, okay, I'm going to do certain things, and then they do certain things. Perform their duties beautifully, and then they get enough money and they say, well, I have enough money now, so I don't need any more work. So again, I'm going back to this transactional based, and this is a modern thing. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that it is what it is. So this is the difference between our generation and theirs. I had to mow lawns when I was in college to get some extra money, and I was doing it as if basically the end of the world depended on it. I focused there and I did my job really well, and I knew I was committed to do it. For, let's say, for the whole season or whatever, and never had it crossed my mind that I would make enough money and I would say I'm just going to go spend it. That's the different way of thinking, and there's nothing wrong with that. Unfortunately or fortunately, today's generation is more consumer oriented, so they'll always need more money, so they'll have to work or do something. They don't have to work. They can, I guess, invest into proper places and make huge return, and they don't have to work. But it's still work. Investment is a lot of work, reading and information absorption. So that's from my point of view the key difference between generations. That it's just a different world from what it was 30 years ago.
Do you have that in your teams? Like when you hire Gen Z, would they be like, I've had enough money here, bye bye, or the other company is giving me like 500 level more? So
I've actually dealt with many situations where I've managed to ask people to stay for less money and more work, but to do more meaningful work with people whom they enjoy working with, rather than make more money and be unhappy making it.
Wow.
And to be honest, it's people say that money is money, and it's I know for a fact that not everything is financially motivated. Human beings are very interesting beasts. We want recognition, but we want recognition in most, I would say here, developers want recognition, but they don't want recognition from, let's say, from the whole team, because they're kind of shy. They want to stay in the corner and do their own thing, but they want to be recognized for what they do, and that applies to everybody. And then if you get recognition on a peer level, on a team level, then you're happy. And obviously you have to be sufficiently financially compensated for your because you went to university, then you did acquired a lot of experience, you contribute a lot to the organization, so obviously you have to be monetarily rewarded for your effort and for your knowledge and for your experience. I'm not even questioning that, but that's not enough. You have to be you have to go with a smile to work every day. Like what you said, let's say somebody goes and jogging in the morning for an hour, then they go and happily sit on their computer and do work, and they're motivated, they're happy to do it. Not because they were jogging before, but because they're working with the right people, doing the right thing at the right time.
So back to the what you said, that you've managed to motivate people to when you're motivated to work for less money and more hours. When you're motivating, when you're doing your motivator stuff, how do you approach it? Individually?
On an individual level. First, you have to be honest. Honesty is. I really hate when people start bullshitting and things like that, because people have pretty good bullshit detectors. Can I use bullshit?
Sure. You can.
I hope you don't get blacklisted off YouTube or something
like
that.
You can do everything.
No, I'll keep it civil. People have a really good BS detector, and if you try to BS them, they would know, and they would not take you seriously, and you're going to lose their trust. And losing the trust of people that you work with is one of the worst things that can happen.
It's the end.
I've also said, I'm going to go on a tangent here, and I'll be back. From my point of view, there's a few things that are the most important assets of buildings, cars, things like that, servers, equipment. That's it's just metal, and IP, technology, know-how, and people. These are an organizational structure, which I would say is know-how, are people and the the intellectual property of a company is the most important things, and they're about equal. And then the other one is time. Time is, you can get more people, talented people, you can get more ideas, generate more ideas, but you can never buy time because it just goes one way. And that ties into the time management thing. So
Yeah.
once you know that these are the pillars that you're building your organization on, know-how, thinking, basically, thinking, people who do the thinking, and the time, and you manage them properly, you're going to succeed.
Yeah.
I'll be. What we talked about before I got on a tangent. I forgot the previous topic.
Yeah, about the motivator.
The motivator. So you have to be honest with people. Like if you tell them, listen, I cannot give you more money because this is my budget. Not now, anyway. I will try to work. I'm not promising that I will be able to deliver, but I can give you. I can give you, a bunch of reasons, and the reasons are there. These people that you work with, they're really talented people. You're progressing. You're learning more. You're becoming a better professional, a better person. You're contributing to this organization, and you're disseminating your knowledge to it, and at the same time absorbing knowledge and know-how and valuable knowledge. Because if you go to this other organization, think of what you're going to do. Just imagine your first week on this new job, the second week. Just imagine yourself 1 year from now doing the thing that you're going to make more money with, but it's going to make you more miserable. I'm not saying that will be the case.
Yeah.
But just try to create a mental picture where you are. And to be honest, developers are, as much as they contribute to change, they're afraid of change. They are. Technical people in general are afraid of changing their comfort zone. But I've always tried to push them to get out of this comfort zone. So, and obviously within reason, and they are resistant at first, but once they start, getting out of there, they come up with brilliant ideas. Some of them are, obviously not usable, but some of them can become, great solutions.
Mm-hmm.
So just help them to break the ice, and by being honest with them, by presenting them the reality that what they have and what they might lose, and again, this goes contrary to the risk taking, but I'm saying, okay, take the risk. At the same time, I've had actually people who left and they've come back.
Right.
Because I've always said, I value your choice. The door is open always for you. It's up to you. And trying to maintain those bridges is a good, because I've seen very ugly divorces in Poland.
Yeah.
When people get bitter, and it's not a pretty picture.
Yeah, because you don't have the right to restrict people from making even mistakes.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Making a mistake is basically how art comes. You just
It's
make
a learning
mistakes.
point, yeah.
I forgot this. Some great art critic said that like art is making mistakes and learning which mistakes to keep.
Yeah. It's so true. I'm such an example. I have returned. I was quitting. I have returned, and I saw that there is practically no point, and I saw ways to develop more in the place I returned to. So I understand that.
I haven't done that, but I'm perfectly willing and capable to go and work back for an organization that I have worked with, even if I didn't live on the most, I guess, beautiful conditions and things like that. Just because things didn't work out the first time doesn't mean that I think everybody deserves second chances, both people and organizations. So I treat them as entities.
And always, and when you return, you have this how to say restart when you can renegotiate. Because
Exactly.
I had the fear to negotiate the first time, but when I returned, I didn't have that anymore, because I knew that now is the time, and if I don't do it now, it's like no.
I will share something else from Jürgen again.
Yeah.
Why do some managers make more money? Not always, but make more money than technical people? Because they're better negotiators,
Right.
because they have more soft skills than the. So that's one other aspect that I that people like. Technical people learn to have better negotiating tactics and better people skills, so they can sell themselves better. I'm sorry for using that, but that's
No, but
normal. That's
we're
normal
all
term.
selling ourselves, whether we know it or not.
Because they now can negotiate better and get better recognition for what they do, because normally they're just kind of quiet and just say one number, and then they ask why do you deserve this number, and they can't really say why.
Yeah.
And if you can't logically explain why you deserve such a number, then why should I give you that number? You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So that's why a lot of managers actually, even though they're not as capable, maybe don't contribute as much to the organization as some other people, get better remuneration because they're better negotiators.
Okay.
And if you teach your well, this is a double-edged sword here, because if you teach your technical people to negotiate better, you're gonna have to give them more money at one point. But I would say most of the time it's worth it, because now that they've renegotiated their new number, they know that they have to justify it.
Yes.
Because they just negotiated a deal and they committed to it, and they have to keep their end of the bargain. So it's a complex transactional thing. Again, going back to that, but it works.
And mutually beneficial.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I like solutions where everybody wins. Like for me, win-win-win. I'm not a big fan of zero-sum games, and I people don't understand that zero-sum game is a lose-lose situation.
Absolutely.
Always. Maybe in the short term, yes, but in the long term, you always lose.
I just remember talking about that. I remember the conversation I had with a guy on the island that was managing teams in your sector in North America. And he told me I was this gamer, very shy, but typical. When I talked to him, I wouldn't say he was one of those people that were shy to express themselves, to talk in general. But he was like, what's the maybe? And I was like, what was the turning point for you? And he told me, my divorce. I have to express myself at the end of the day, and my divorce made me realize that I have to put it out there because he's an engineer, obviously it has to make sense when he's putting it out there. So he had the previous, and now he's like a new man. So even a divorce could be as beneficial in some
different events can trigger change in like that. That's why I'm saying I'm more fan of an evolutionary approach instead of this, more revolutionary, like in this person's life. Unfortunately, things didn't work. But like I said before.
But you never know what is evolution at the end of the day,
That's true.
Yeah.
My point here is that by being honest to yourself and communicating this honesty with people, you save everybody a lot of anguish, angst and anguish and things like that. So being upfront and honest with negotiations like that, and not trying to hide certain aspects of, like I said from the previous conversation, motivating people. People appreciate when you're being straight and honest with them, and they reciprocate it. And that's something I've seen people try to,
not every time they're using it to be honest with themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's crucial, especially in your business, because I talk a lot about that, not so much in my podcast, but I will start as I'm talking with friends like you about this porn addiction that is quite bad for people nowadays. And what's the worst thing about this porn addiction is actually that people stop communicating and stop. They're afraid of rejection. They don't think they are enough. They're afraid of rejection. They close themselves, and everybody suffers from that because they don't want to be rejected. Like they want to be like the porn star. She's always ready, she's always open, her legs are always open, she's always wet, etc. So this is why I think mistakes are crucial, and we have to really aim for the mistakes. And this is why this revolutionary approach, as you called it, I think is very important, especially with the people that are technical or engineers or what do you think about
agree
that?
and I disagree. So I'll say I agree that this is a problem, and this is not just porn. Like all these social networks, shopping networks, things like that. Like this intricate higher level of internet services, if you want to call it, is so addictive. Like we had a situation where we didn't have internet for like 2-3 hours because power was out. I forgot, like a few days ago.
Yeah.
And young kids were like,
yeah, like addicts.
kind of like but why is the internet gone? Like kind of like the Pirates of the Caribbean. But why is the RAM gone? But except why is the internet gone? And I'm like, because there's a problem, technical problem. But why don't they fix it now? And I'm like, because it doesn't work like that. And so we're so addicted to this just being online, and sometimes I see young kids sitting on a table, each with their telephone, chatting to each other, sending pictures to each other on the same table.
Yeah.
Why?
Unable to express themselves.
So that's what I'm saying. It's just not. It's not. It's the problem with parents and basically the social environment, because parents are like, just go do your thing, I don't want to deal with you, because it's a lot of effort to talk to you, to actually see your problems, to hear you, maybe not say a word, just listen to you. I have more important things to do. I want to watch TV and the news. Right.
I'm also tired.
Yeah, I'm also tired too. Well, you can always find excuses. Excuses are easy to find. So by not socially engaging with kids, they're already rejected. They feel rejected at home. They feel rejected at school because everybody is, socializing online instead of to each other. And I told you about this 10, 11 million people of young Japanese people who don't want to ever go out, go on a date, go meet real people, go have dinner with somebody, with friends, even enjoy a drink or something. They just stay at home, play video games, watch porn, and, don't want to get out of the house.
Yeah.
So, is this the kind of generation we want to, empower? Not quite sure.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know, it was a huge percentage of people over 30 in Japan that are still virgin.
Yeah, because they don't want to engage in actual social activities.
Yeah. And again, the fear of being rejected.
It is.
Maybe because we're getting rejected so much. And maybe because we're in social media, you got rejected so much.
Well, this is the problem with this character canceling. That's the problem. People are afraid to express. You can see that the most of the information there that flows is superficial. We're actually not encouraged to talk about important things, so we want to keep the shallow stuff that that we know is not going to get us into trouble.
Do you feel like we're rejecting our avatars, but actually we have empathy for each other when we feel our energies?
We do, and we don't. We suppress our own desire to be better humans, to be better people, to be better parents, colleagues, whatever social role you can imagine, and rejecting ourselves. So we're bottling ourselves and limiting us to the shallow, expressions online, or even not online, even in normal conversations. We try to avoid topics that would disturb the, I guess, the psyche of of the person we're talking about, without getting into the difficult questions and answers. There can be no meaningful conversation, because you just stay on the surface and you never go down, never go deep down. And this it's a huge problem. And again, especially when you combine it with this information overload. But this information is mostly useless.
Yeah.
Again, like there's an expression that somebody else coined, the useless generation. This is you and I are probably part of that. to some extent, we don't really contribute that much to society, if you think about it. I mean, we do and we don't. So, and just realizing this for yourself, you can start looking at, I guess, ideas how you as a human being can contribute to the overall success of humanity, if you want to call it.
Do you feel like sometimes I feel like we're so afraid of conflicts? Me personally, not. I'm actually
Well, yeah.
not at all. But like overall, as society currently, we're so afraid of conflicts, and at the end of the day, we live among conflicts all the time.
Well,
how
this is
controversial
that's
is
exactly
that?
the same thing.
Yeah.
We try to avoid conflicting on the important things, and then we make conflicts on the really stupid things.
Yeah, yeah,
This
yeah.
is what happens because you suppress the important part of the information, I guess, flow, and then you conflict on the not important part. Like, I don't really care if you like the outfit of somebody who went on the Oscars, that much, and we started calling, no, you don't know what you're talking about. No, she was beautiful. No, she's ugly. Okay, that's the most important thing. And you know what? That's because it's social programming. This is how our society wants us to focus our energy on discussing, stupid shit. Like, I'm not saying that it's stupid. I'm saying that there's more important things to talk about.
It's superficial.
Compared to other things, yes. But it might be important, if you're in the fashion design, things like that. Okay, maybe that's important to you. But overall, there's a lot more important topics to discuss and quarrel about, and actually get into deep argument. They say that the truth always comes through the argument.
Exactly.
If you don't argue, you're not gonna come to the truth, because you're gonna say, I'm right. I don't care. I don't want to talk to that person. He's stupid. I don't want to hear what he has to say. And you're getting to that point. This self-righteousness is basically this is one of the reasons why we're so afraid of rejection, because we think we're the shit, and then somebody says, well, not really, and then you're like, whoa, and your ego just suffers. And we people hate to have our ego suffer.
Yeah, I think I have the perfect formula for that, but I'm lucky to have it by birth, because in my family we're three: my father, my mother, and myself.
Yeah.
Me and my father, we were very conflicting people. In terms of, we would shout, we would argue until we find the truth and make sure that this is the truth, this is the way, this is the correct way. And my mother is the peacemaker, so I think two conflict people and one peacemaker makes the perfect team for.
Well, in a social environment with people who are close, that's okay. But just think about, I've seen, this managerial style too. Yelling and screaming can actually get it off your chest, and then everybody's sort of happy, but the screaming is still there. It's still left. So I would go, depends. It depends on the situation. In a professional environment, they say it's a taboo. Well, sort of, yes, it is.
But if we cut the screaming part and leave the conflict part,
exactly, that's what I was going to say.
In a very articulate way,
you can still sometimes have a heated discussion and argument without screaming and calling names and things like that. Because the moment you say, this is stupid bullshit, don't give me that. Respect your opponent.
Yeah.
You can still argue like the Aristotle and Plato said. You can still present a good argument, heated argument if you want to, and be civil and respectful to your peers. And this is something that we do this black and white. Either you don't do it, or you do it like kaboom, kaboom, kaboom.
Yeah. Well, actually, when I have to manage situations like that, and knowing myself that I'm like that, but how I manage myself internally, I think that part of the empathy is to understand that, for example, this person that is shouting, they maybe grew up in a family that they had that style. So probably instead of just canceling the conflict because they're shouting to me, I would say, listen, I understand that this is the way you express your emotions, but to me this is very this sounds very aggressive, and I can literally not hear what you say. I can only hear the shouting, and this makes the our conversation just not worth it. So can you please lower your emotions and just for me to give me, this is part of the empathy.
Focus
to understand
on the context instead of the expression.
Exactly, because sometimes People
you know
shout.
Italian,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay.
We're Italian family with
Okay.
my father. We like
Have you been to Italy?
Of course.
You know how Italians,
Exactly.
the way they talk. You feel
Exactly.
like they argue most of the time, but they don't. It's just the way they express
themselves. Exactly.
Have you been to Japan? Have you seen like two people in Japan talk?
It's like
Sometimes
scary sometimes.
you think that they're gonna, pull out the katanas and start cutting each other. It's just the
Exactly.
way they talk. This is normal, and you have to be respectful of that too. So, like I said, I've managed people from different continents, and it's very difficult.
That's really interesting
It's
for you.
it's for me. I've had to adjust and learn this. I guess. Uh,
Cultural.
well, it's called. I hate to use that term, emotional intelligence, because it's overused.
I hate it too, yeah.
But this closely describes what it is, because people are different.
Yeah.
And you can't apply the same formula to everybody. So you have to find the individual right approach to to how to do it.
And I think the right approach and the working formula is really to express how you feel about that.
Yeah.
In order to make this argument really clear for me, I really would appreciate if you lower your voice or speak or show me your emotions, because sometimes I've been with people that I literally cannot understand their emotion. I'm like, shout or cry, just show me, because I do not understand.
Well, this is how I usually approach this.
Yeah.
Open yourself up and say, listen, this is how I feel, this is what I think, this is how I understand the situation. You do the first step, so they can see you, they can see your point of view first, and then they can open up. Basically show your cards so they can show theirs. Kind of like, I'll show you mine, and then maybe you show me yours, maybe not, we'll see.
Lead
and then it's a risk again. Exactly, lead by example. And a lot of managers, because I've mostly dealt with this level, don't appreciate the fact that sometimes you have to be a little bit vulnerable. You can say, listen, guys, we have to deliver this piece of functionality because, it's not my head on the line, but, we promised, people were waiting, it's complicated. So I'm giving you my vulnerability here. Please don't do it for me, but know that also it has implications on me, and I'm one of you. So would you help a buddy in need?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna phrase it like that, but
that's
they can see your vulnerability, and they can say, listen, I can help this person. Maybe I'll try at least. I'm not sure I will be, but I'll give it a shot. Yeah. So when you lower your guard to a certain extent and show your vulnerability, then people most of the time would actually help. Sometimes they can manipulate you and use it against you, but that's normal too. So you have to be careful with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you actually touched a very interesting. Actually, one of my favorite topics is the cultural differences, the multicultural management. Tell me what's like your most interesting story in terms of that, because you've been like all over the globe.
I had we had an office when I worked for a U.S. company. I was based in the U.S. and we had an office in India.
Okay.
And very talented people, by the way, great engineers, great, amazing people. They just weren't very structured. So we had to, let's say Jira, because everybody knows Jira. So we had to break the tasks in such a way that they can actually understand them and just go and again transactionally execute them.
Okay.
And once you try to bridge this gap and let them improvise, like and do something and participate, that they just blocked. They didn't know what to do.
Wow.
It was, I don't know if it's a bringing cultural thing or things like that. If you give them a well-defined task, they'll execute it perfectly on time and stuff like that. But if you tell them, come up, and maybe it's just that team in particular, the way they were used to.
Okay. Yeah.
But if you tell them, I'll give you the freedom to define, to do that, they blocked.
Oh, wow.
They didn't know how to. That's probably going to sound racist then, but it's kind of like, okay, forget about it. I'm going to say it anyway because I think the analogy is good. Like, it's when the U.S. they had slaves, and they give them freedom, they didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So they're like, I've all my life I'm used to, get up in the morning, get breakfast, go work on the field, and then go take shower and go to bed, and that's it.
But it's like the authoritarian style. We saw that after the communism in Bulgaria as well. I think, in a way.
Maybe, but it's. I think that it's basically these people were used to working in such a fenced, I would say, fenced environment that they didn't have the freedom or the capability to think outside or to do stuff outside the box, and that's why they were self-limiting themselves and didn't know what to do with their freedom. But that happens a lot. A lot of outsourcing companies are like that because they're just follow the lines. Don't break. Don't cross the red line. Things like that. I'm not saying crossing the red line is good. I'm saying just once you have because a lot of times you are in such an environment that you have to play by the rules and be very strict and follow it. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to sometimes think outside of these boxes and be able to appreciate freedom when it's given to you, obviously responsibly. Yeah. And this was my huge because I was like, I see that they're very talented, very smart people, and I wanted to give them the freedom to create, and it was difficult for them at first.
Wow.
So this is one typical, and I've seen this not just this is a particular case in this team in India, but I've seen it with other teams as well. This was just an interesting example because it was I was shocked. I was like, okay.
Like, what is the most interesting thing you've seen in terms of sex differences, and where in the world?
What do you mean sex differences?
Male, women, male, female. Sorry. Like, have you seen something that in your particular industry? Because I spoke with my previous episode is with a person from the.
You mean remuneration for girls instead of guys, or give me more.
For example, my previous guest, he's into building. He and his partner, they made this company and super successful. They're both civil engineers. They made the biggest buildings in Bulgaria in terms of calculation. She's a woman. And she's always with the high heels. She's as smart as him. She does as bigger of a job as him. Plus, she's a mother of 3 boys. And she's doing that. He's a complete idiot. And still, when people in building size see her, they will underestimate her. And she has, wow. So I was wondering whether there's something like that in your industry, because I don't know.
There is. They're trying now to. Unfortunately, there's always been sexism in pretty much every industry. Like that's, and to be honest, this is probably some people are going to say that I'm Putin apologist. Like this, this is more prevalent in Western societies. Unfortunately, I don't know why. And they're trying to compensate with privileges now that they're not merit based, but they're other criteria based. I'm not gonna say. Let's leave it at that. In Eastern societies, certain Eastern societies, there is actually a fairly good balance between the sexes. Yes, there is some underappreciation for ladies, but not to the extent. Like I'll give you, for example, even. China, Russia, even India for that. India had a girl prime minister. Indira Gandhi. We talked about. Look at Maria Zakharova. Basically, smart, beautiful, talented, and bright ladies can go to top positions. Even now, like we're about to inaugurate maybe the first female president in the United States.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that she's one of those, but she might be. I don't know.
We don't know yet. Yeah.
The problem is that in Western society, this has been until recently. Even it was, let's call it what it is. It was a racist chauvinistic society, and not in the way that the new, people were describing it, that you have to fill a quota for certain minorities to be there. It was just the way it is. It's just a cultural heritage that slowly we're getting rid of it, and if we give it time to get rid of it in a proper way, it won't get distorted like it is being distorted right now, because we're going from one end, which is discrimination against certain sex and ethnicity and religious whatever beliefs. We're going into the other, where each and every insignificant tiny minority has to have enough power as the bigger majority. It doesn't work. That's not democracy. It doesn't work like that. That's why you have democracy wins by more people want certain change than less. We have, like they said, the Bolsheviks, and the Mensheviks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to use that, but you cannot have a small minority dictating to the overall majority what to do. This is not democracy. This is, I don't know, this is craziness.
It is.
It's like, it doesn't work like that.
It is indeed. What would you change, if anything, in like the overall culture in the IT industry, particularly in Bulgaria?
Well, unfortunately, again, here I'm going to go. It's not political, by the way. I'm just, being totally technical. We live in this information umbrella. Like, we think that the Western way of doing things that technologically is the best. People just don't know what there is in Vietnam, in Singapore, in China, in Japan, in Russia. That even, how much more technologically advanced than we think they are. And not be stereotypically and say that the Western, like mainly US dominated way is the right way, because we have, Google and they're the best, and Amazon and stuff like that. I'm not saying that this is bad technology. I'm just saying that there's a lot of other very interesting technology there that these people are way ahead of us, and we should at least recognize it and learn from them, just the same way that they learn from us, because unlike us, they're not saying our way is the best way, our way or the highway. They see our accomplishments and learn from them. They see our mistakes and learn from them, and we don't from theirs. And this is, from an engineering point of view, what is a better way, instead of you making the mistakes and learning from them, to see somebody else's mistakes and have this ready recipe not to do them again.
Exactly, yeah.
So by closing ourselves to the rest of the world, we're becoming xenophobic and ethnocentric. I'm sorry, but that's what it is. Because we say our way is the right way. Like, you have to have, good salary. You have to drive a BMW. You have to, go to expensive clubs. You have to, be a little sexually fluent. And think, because these are the modern things, and if you're not doing them, they're not cool. If you don't, follow the Western style of doing things, drinking drinks and things like that, going to parties in Ibiza and things like that. I've seen some really great parties in Vietnam and in Malaysia, and I've been to an amazing party in Kuala Lumpur and whatnot. I'm not gonna say. So I can tell you, these people can do better parties than the ones in Ibiza, and they don't need drugs to do them. That's the other thing.
That's the other thing, yeah.
Like, people get high on music and vibe instead of chemicals.
Yeah.
So my advice is, don't take, the Western, narrative as a gospel. Open your eyes, live a little, go visit places different from the US and Europe, and figure it out on your own.
And try to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Live a little.
Live a little, exactly. Live a little. I think I just had actually one of my best vacations, because it was only sports. I didn't even smell an alcohol. Only sports, good food, and sleep. It was 2 weeks in heaven.
You need I did the same thing, sort of, like no cigarettes, no alcohol, no meat. What else? No carbs. So it was a good clean your mind sort of thing. Back to nature.
Yeah. It's priceless.
You need to do that once in a while.
The
But
highways.
yeah, our brilliant highways, because they cost more than the ones in Switzerland, and they're such perfect ways to
break your heart.
break your car and your heart
And
when
your
you have
heart.
to pay the bill
Yes,
afterwards.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, it is what it is.
Well, that's one thing that we can improve on. Like people should demand better, like the IT people, when they buy this expensive BMW or Lexus or whatever and break it, on these roads, they should demand better, I guess, better service for their tax dollars, less euros, whatever it is.
Exactly. We have
Because
to demand
that's
more.
one problem we have in Bulgaria. Again, this is not politics. This is I'm talking as a consumer. We pay taxes, and we should get services for that. Instead of we pay taxes, a lot of it actually. You'll be surprised how much these people. Let's say somebody in the IT industry. Let's say a developer makes 10G
Yeah.
clean a month. About 30% of that goes to taxes and things like that. Maybe even 40. I don't know. So that's 4K per month you're giving to the government, and you get this road.
Exactly.
Demand service for the money that you pay. Be a responsible citizen. Say, I pay you money. I want good service, good roads.
We have
like that.
no communities here.
You don't have to have community. Like everybody, individuals can do that. Because of the Western, individualism. Why don't you defend your individual rights? We don't.
Because the highway is not an individual right.
Well, if everybody goes to the parliament and says, "Listen, I'm not going to pay taxes if this is the road you're going to give me," what are they going to do?
Exactly, everybody. That's
not a community. That's you need every individual to actually say, I've had enough of that.
Yeah.
But that's different. That's too much politics. I don't want to go in there.
Yeah.
I don't want to open this can of worms.
It's really to be a responsible human being, and this is part of the responsibility, because this.
Like I said, that's the other thing you just said. We have limited the amount of water. I'm not saying don't take any showers and stuff, but be respectful. Like you saw, like the water stopped, and like we have 50 people and we have 15 tons of water. That's it.
Yeah.
Be responsible. I'm not saying again, don't take showers during the summer. Don't brush your teeth or anything like that. But that's the same thing. People that go to coffee shops. You buy those cups and you throw them in the garbage. You don't throw them in the recycle bins. These are the young, Western influenced people who buy 3-4 cups of coffee per day, or all kinds of water in special plastic. I'm willing to bet, we can do an experiment like that and ask them maybe online how many of them recycle this. And I'll tell you that less than, let's say 20% of them would say yes, 80% would say no, because this is the Pareto principle. Usually it's 80-20.
Yeah, I'm not.
But I'm willing to put the $100 online that about 20% would recycle, 80 would not. So
okay, I'm part of the 80.
That's what I'm saying. so instead of it's easier. Just grab a cup. Go and use that cup and say, listen, pour me that coffee in my cup. Then wash the cup and then use it, reuse it. Or make your own coffee if that's the case.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the time or don't have the right coffee, don't use disposable, because plastic is made from what? From petroleum-based stuff mostly, or natural gas for that matter. And eventually it might end, it might not, we don't know, but it is what it is. And things
if
like
you're
that.
not responsible towards yourself, how do you expect someone to be responsible for the nature, for somebody else, for anything else outside of their own?
We're actually very wasteful with the resources. Just because we have the money to buy them doesn't mean we should and dispose of them. Like buy new expensive toys.
But we're very much of a show-off
that's
society.
The same thing. Well, so what? You don't have to have the newest iPhone every year. Why? Is the old one broken? Something wrong with it? Or Android doesn't really matter, because iPhone is more expensive and like a status symbol.
Yeah.
So what? This type of competition, who is going to get the most expensive thing to show off, is absolutely useless. Instead, young IT professionals who make decent money, good money, can use their money to go travel. Go to somewhere, go to Argentina, go to
The
somewhere else in
only
the
way
world. Use the money.
to make this disposable thing working is to make it cool.
Yeah, but unfortunately, these companies invest billions of dollars to make us buy more stuff that we don't need, so they can make more profit. And then we can admire them for being, amazing businesses like Apple and like Amazon and all the others. And we don't realize that we feed this never-ending, self-consuming machine.
Oh, we do realize it.
No,
but
most people don't.
Think?
They don't. No, they don't. I didn't realize it for a while. We're part of it, but
yeah.
But once you realize it, you can start limiting yourself. You can. I'm not saying deprive yourself of new technology or new products or things like that. Just don't be wasteful. Be smart about it.
Yeah.
There's always a balance. Carbon.
I think that there used to be a period in my generation and probably the next generation. I'm obviously young, but that depriving yourself from something meant not having the couldn't be able to afford it, and couldn't be able to afford it was associated with some kind of shame, and that is
But this is I would say, I use the Bulgarian word complexari, basically.
Exactly.
So you think that by showing off, hold on a second, showing off,
I've got it.
you got it. Showing off, the newest, greatest, most expensive toy, you would compensate for the fact that your parents didn't have that toy. How is that going to work
At
out?
the end of the day, you compensate with the fact that you are not enough, because a lot of people suffer from that. I'm not enough and I have to show off more.
Yeah, but find a way to find your self-worth and be enough. It's not that difficult. I'm not saying go do yoga and do all kumbaya.
It's actually pretty difficult still.
It's not
for
that
a lot
difficult.
of yeah,
it's
but
not
for a lot
that
of
difficult.
people.
Once you want to do it, like you say, okay.
How would you motivate a person?
That's what I'm saying. That, okay, let's do this. So you work. You're sort of happy with your work because it gives you enough money to buy toys, and that makes you feel happy. Play video games. I'm not saying that's wrong. I have one of my best friends are like top gamers in the world.
Yeah.
Both in Japan and the US. So like almost professional. But looking for satisfaction through just things never ends well. What was it? The Kung Fu Panda, inner peace.
Yeah.
Find a balance. Like I like toys too, like expensive toys. Not expensive, but toys. Like different kinds of equipment and things like that. I was showing some new technology from AMD to my wife a few days ago, like some really revolutionary stuff. She's like, I don't understand what you're talking about, what you're showing me, but the fact that you are happy about it is good enough for me.
Yeah.
So, like different strokes for different folks, like the that's probably English. The Russian is like "По вкусу, по цвет, товарищей нет." So we cannot all be the same, but we can all be the same in this, that we should try to not damage our world by our overindulgence with things.
Yeah.
Same cards, horse.
Yeah.
And so be smart about
We're making ourselves dependent on things.
Yeah. Well, that's what happened. Technology was actually we used it to better our lives, and now we're actually slaves to technology.
I told you today about there's a very interesting podcast, the episode of Joe Rogan with Peter Thiel, and actually Joe Rogan tried to disagree with Peter Thiel because Peter Thiel said we were born on the same year, 1967, and there was not a lot of development. This is my dog behind. There is not a lot of development on technology, and Joe Rogan was like, well, actually, there was a lot. Did you manage in the 70s that we would have all those devices, when we would have the internet in our pockets? And Peter Thiel was like, yeah, but if you look at things, we developed only in terms of the computer science. But technology is not only the computer science. Technology is the highways, is the you know.
Exactly what I was trying to say earlier. Just because the Western society focused on this particular type of technology, basically smartphones, big data, cloud technology, because we focused only on that because it had a huge return, immediate return on the investment of the people who did it, and started overloading the whole world with useless information.
Dopamine boost.
Yeah, dopamine boost basically. Doesn't mean that this is the right technology. I mean, there's a lot of other technologies that people don't even know about. I told you about I told you today we spoke about this. Like space tugboat that can go between Mars and the moon, or go to all the way to Jupiter or Saturn and get a bunch of methane or water to one of those planets and make it habitable for humans. This is technology. Going to the stars. Like my father used to say. God be with him. We come from the stars, and we're going to go back to the stars. How we're going to go back to the stars depends on us. Whether a star does, because we're going to waste everything here, or we're going to travel through the stars. So it's a very smart man, and that's it. Eventually, if we don't play our cards right, we're going to finish all the technology that we have and resources here. We're going to stay here circa 1984 and stay there. That's it. Game over.
The shortest time of vacation
That's
ever.
it. Then we're going to be gone. Or we can go to the stars. I'm not sure we should go to the stars. That's the thing. We have, very good traits and very bad traits. So I don't know which is going to take precedence if we go to the stars and bring all this bullshit that we have within us to the cosmos. I don't know if we're going to do the universe a favor or not. So, like Einstein used to say, human stupidity and the size of the universe about the same, but the universe may be finite.
Exactly. Well, I think that's a good end to our episode, and I think that really just be more responsible human beings, and it will all align. And sometimes we have to resist things, we have to resist people, and we have to stay true to values. But first of all, we have to find our values. So search for your values, your core values. Sometimes you need to change them, sometimes you would need to amend them, but be true to what's in the core of your self and what would be beneficial to society as a whole, because we need that a lot.
I'm just gonna say something about values, and that's it for me. Because I see this as a trend, if you value money above all, you have no values, because money has no value.
Sure.
Job dot.